Good to see you again, and welcome to my brand new Art Attack Try It Yourself video. Now, this is in fact the first in a series of 3 videos in a set, but I'll tell you more about that later. Now you know Art Attack by now. It's all about trying things out with art, being creative, and just having fun. Well, this video is about drawing, but don't worry, it's not like a class or anything. This is all about the wonderful things that you can draw with and what you can do with them. I'm sure you'll have loads of ideas of your own, but there are plenty of ideas here that you can try out straight away. Here's a great way of drawing a haunted house. Take a black and white wax crayon and a nice dark piece of paper, can be dark blue or dark grey, and near the top just draw a round moon and then colour it in white. And just underneath the moon, take your black wax crayon and just draw a very simple haunted house. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. Just roughly draw the shape. Got a few turrets in. And then turn your wax crayon on its edge and just go over all of those lines, just pressing really hard. And this will create some really spooky shadows. And then while your wax crayon is on its edge, just colour the whole thing in. And then just do your haunted house sitting on the top of a hill, again with your wax crayon on its edge. And you get this really spooky, grainy effect. And then just put in some detail on the house. Now you can put in some windows, make them a bit church-like. And you can put a gable top of the house, and I think a nice big doorway. Let's put some light shining out of the door and out of those windows. Just a few little smudges for the light, I think. And now I'm just going to take my black wax crayon and just do a little bit of sort of gloomy atmosphere all around the house. And I think I'll just put some detail down on the rocks here, maybe some steps coming down from the house. And what about spooky gravestone shapes? There always seems to be spooky gravestones around haunted houses, don't there? And don't do any of it perfectly, just hint at the shapes. I'll tell you another thing you always get around haunted houses, these sort of very rickety railings. And a few little highlights with the white, or should I say moonlights. Just little bits of white along the edges facing the moonlight. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. And I'm just going to shoot some rain across the picture. Nice diagonal flicks there. And just to finish it off, no haunted house would be complete without some bats. Watch this, just squiggly M shapes. A couple there. And there it is, try it yourself, a haunted house. So you could see there how many different ways there are that you can use a wax crayon to draw with. You can press hard or gently, you can shade with them on their side to fill in large areas, and you know, they're often the things that get left in the bottom of your pencil case or art box. but they really are fantastic art materials. And if drawing with them isn't enough, look what other tricks you can do. If you draw something in wax crayon first, then it resists paint or ink when it's brushed over it. Look at that. Put a bit more on there. And there it goes, resisting the paint and ink. And you know, this technique can be used to get fantastic effects in lots of pictures. Here's a great way of doing a nighttime picture. Take a piece of white paper. Now hang on, I know white looks nothing like night, but don't worry, I've got a trick up my sleeve. Now you need some wax crayons, and you need to take a black wax crayon and just draw the outline of whatever it is that you want to draw. Now this technique is really good for drawing things that have a lot of light in them at night. Things like aeroplanes, buildings, street scenes, trains. Now I'm actually going to draw a big ship. They have lots of lights in them, don't they? And you just draw the outline in your black wax crayon. You see, I'm just putting in the basic shapes. Nothing too detailed. And the funnel there. And when it comes to colouring it in, just colour anything that's really dark in black. So that's on this picture, the bow of the ship. Because it would just be a silhouette, wouldn't it? And any other bits of colour that would normally be in your picture, just do it darker than it normally would be. So on the funnel of this old-fashioned ship, it would be brown instead of red. And then when it comes to putting the lights in, just do those in yellow. Oh, broke my wax crayon there. That's all right, because I'm pressing quite hard for this. You have to press quite hard. Do the lights in yellow or white. And I'm just going to do some reflections on the water in white wax crayon, and you can't see it on the white paper. But as I say, I've got a trick up my sleeve. I'm going to do a few more reflections here, just in blue. And just finally, even though you can't see it yet, I'm going to do the moon up there in the sky and its reflection in the sea. And just finish by dotting a few white stars in the sky. And there it is, a picture of a ship at night. And where's the night? Here. Just mix some watercolour paint with plenty of water, make it nice and runny, and then just paint it onto your picture. And look what happens. The lights resist the paint. You get all that wax shining through, and just paint it all the way down, cover the whole picture. And there it is, a wax resist night picture. Try it yourself, great fun to do. Ever since I've been doing Art Attack, I've loved doing wax pictures. In fact, I was looking through the Art Attack office the other day when I came upon this wax idea on the very first ever series of Art Attack. Now look, I'll only show it to you if you promise not to laugh at the hairstyle. Okay, here it goes. Bad hairstyle, but great idea. Now there is another way that you can create a wax resist picture using one of these, ordinary household candle. You just draw an invisible picture onto your paper with a candle like that. When you've done it, watercolour paint, nicely mixed in with loads of water, and you can brush it or sponge it right across your paper. And miraculously, there's your picture appearing. A little bit of wax, a little bit of paint, a little bit of a wax attack. Okay, right, time to get back to drawing and other things to draw with. Do you know what? I wouldn't mind betting that you've got some of these things. Felt tip pens. But don't they seem to get lost very easily? And very soon a whole set of pens will be down to just a few colours, and the colour that you want won't always be there. Well, I always keep mine together with a rubber band, and that way I can always make sure that I've got a whole set, and it's very easy to just slip them in and out when you want to use them. And if you make sure that you always put the tops on your pens, they'll last a lot longer. Good tip. Are you like me? Do you have trouble with these things? Felt tip pens. I mean, there are so many different types of felt tip pens available, aren't there? Just look at this lot. What have we got here then? We've got jumbo marker, micro marker, magic marker, thick point, thin point, chisel point, expensive ones, cheap ones. Do you know what? They are so confusing. Alright, let's get it sorted out once and for all. Basically, there are two types of marker. Permanent marker and water-based marker. So let's take the permanent marker first. As their name implies, permanent markers are permanent, which means they don't come off, which means they don't smear. So when you're doing the drawing that you've done in one colour, you can just go right across it with another colour and it doesn't smear. You don't get that horrible muddy effect. Now another good thing about permanent markers is you can draw on almost anything. You can draw on paper, obviously. You can also draw on glass. Now, there's an old picture that I was going to throw out. Just do a little doodle on it like that. Look at that. The permanent marker even goes on the glass. Much better, doesn't it? In fact, it will even go on plastic. There we are, plastic bag. Just do a little design on this, just to jazz it up a little bit. Like that. And it goes on very easily. That feels great. Really slippy. It goes, and when it's dry, of course, it's permanent. There it is. In fact, you can even draw on cloth and fabric. Look at this little design I've done there. The American flag. And in fact, permanent marker is so permanent, it doesn't even come off in water. Watch this. There it is. Drawing I've done there with permanent marker, and it's absolutely fast. Of course, the fact that it doesn't come off in water means that it's difficult to get off your hands and your fingers, and it's almost impossible to get off your clothes. On the other hand, water-based markers are very easy to get off. Now the good thing about water-based markers is there's lots of different types available. You can get different sizes, lots of different colours, and they do tend to be a lot cheaper. And the good thing about them is you can mix the colours. Now you can't do this with permanent marker. Look at that, bit of blue, and then on top of it I'm going to do some yellow, and look at that, it goes to green. Yellow and blue make green. Now you can't do that with permanent marker. The bad thing about water-based marker is they do smear. Watch this. I've done this picture in black water-based marker. I tried to colour it in with yellow. Look what happens. The colours smear all over the place. So you have to be really careful when you're colouring in with water-based markers. Be careful the colours don't touch. So your water-based markers aren't as permanent as your permanent markers, but you can mix the colours. Now, one thing generally that's bad about felt tip pens is you can't get many different shades or tones. They tend to be one flat colour, like this red and this blue. But you can get round this by using other things on top of them. What about a bit of wax crayon to give it some shading? And that goes on top of felt tip pen very easily. Look at that, it gives a good shading effect.